Mic check, mic check. Hello, everybody. Competitive crew, we are now live. I thought I was live, but apparently there was a little delay. Well, welcome to the live stream today. We are super excited to have Martina Abreu in for a little pre-workshop, pre-lecture chat so we can get to know her a little bit better as well as you. She is a very established wildlife and bird photographer and a Sigma ambassador. We will sit down and chat about her history, how she came into the profession, maybe some of the obstacles she had to overcome, and get a little insight into her thought process as she shoots, give you guys some tips and tricks, learn a few things, and get some new knowledge. Welcome to the live stream, Martina.
Hello, everybody.
How are you?
Good, good, fabulous here.
Thank you for joining us. We know you're busy. You have a shop, right?
Yes, I'm actually in the back office area of that shop currently.
Okay, cool. What do you do in the shop?
We are a faith-based gift shop, so it's a gift store, just various things.
Does that roll into some of your photography also?
Yes, it does. I actually sell
Nice.
many of my canvases out of here as well.
Very nice. A little 2-for-1, huh?
Yes.
Can you let everybody know where you're based?
I am out of Buffalo, New York, the Western New York area, and a little town outside of there called Colden, which is up in the ski resort mountains.
That's very cool because you have these things that we don't normally have in Texas called seasons, and you
Yeah, yeah,
actually get some
a lot of
snowfall
snow.
and stuff like that, right? Yeah. How was this
Oh,
past
yes.
season?
Yes, for sure.
This past season was good.
Yes, it was. It was. We had a lot of snow, and of course the skiers like that. And
Yeah.
it's taken a little time to warm up this year. We're getting almost into June now, and we're just today hitting the 70s.
Gotcha. Now, does that present challenges or does that give you new opportunities as far as shooting?
I think it gives new opportunities because a lot of different areas in the country and also the world don't get to see a lot of the four seasons. So
Yeah,
being here, and I get not only the four seasons, but I get all of the migration and the different animals that come with that. So where things seem stark and void of life, I like to showcase where life still exists. So a lot of my photography is during the winter time, and it's
that's
eight
very
months of
cool.
winter here.
Very, very cool. All right, so let's go ahead and kind of take a few steps back and touch on your beginning
Yeah.
as a creative. Now, what were some early influences that played a role into convincing you, this is the route that I'd like to take?
Yeah, well, funny story, or not so much. It started in high school, and I needed to fill a slot, and one of the slots was photography. And I never thought of photography. I never looked at photography. And instead of having a study hall, I thought, sure, I'll take a course in photography. Why not? And now this is going back into the mid 90s,
Hmm.
and I was 15 years old. I was handed a fully manual Minolta in black and white film where you have to wind it and the
That's pretty
whole
awesome.
thing. Yes. And as soon as, and I kid you not, as soon as I looked through that viewfinder and took my first photo, I was hooked. And then taking it into the dark room and developing it and just seeing how I can capture the world the way that I saw it by just moving around apertures and shutter speeds and things and developing in a dark room to get what I wanted to show people. And that's where it began. I, however, didn't choose it right away. It was kind of on the back burner and something I like to do as like a hobby. And I started college actually in criminal justice.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yes,
Just a little different.
yeah, oh my goodness, totally different ends of the spectrum. And I remember I was on par to be a police officer, and I remember going for my first internship with the police department. And quickly after the 2 weeks were up, knew that that is not the avenue that I wanted to pursue. So I then kind of really focused heavily on my photography and what I wanted to do. So my early influences really came down to the teachers.
Hmm.
Mr. Dens was my photography teacher, and I will never forget him really holding a standard to me. I would take the photos, and the unit study was due, and I just threw something together really quick, and I handed it in. And Mr. Dens looked at it and looked at all, the leading lines, the frame and the composition, all the high keys and all of that he wanted. And he looked through it and he flipped through it and he's like, Martina, you are capable of so much more than what you just handed me today.
Yeah.
And instead of being upset about it, I thought to myself, you know what? He's right. I rushed to hand this in and I didn't take the time to really look at what I was photographing because I'm a teenage girl. You got more important things to worry about. But ever since then, and just his guidance, and I remember seeing his photos. He went all over the world and took pictures of like mountain goats and things. And I just remember sitting in his class and just looking at all that and thinking how cool it was and how I want to do that. So it really started when I was about 15, and Mr. Dens, and I don't know where he is or what he's doing. I'm sure he's retired by now, but he really was a pivotal person in my life with photography.
Now, between the time that you were doing this in high school and the moment that you took that test and said, this is not it, were you
Yeah.
still shooting quite a bit?
I was, but I was doing it for myself. I
Hmm.
was, photographing at the time. I was photographing things that I liked, like fields and flowers. And of course, when
Hmm.
you're a hobbyist photographer, you get a lot of attention from friends who want you to take photos of them. So
Yeah.
I really. That's how I started in the business was with portrait studios. And I started with weddings, did that for about a decade, and it paid the bills. I enjoyed it in the moment, but I knew it wasn't what I wanted to do. It it
Yeah.
it filled a need and everything, but it wasn't my where my passion was. I was always being drawn back to nature, and no
Hmm.
matter what I did, I was always being drawn back to nature. And that was also where I received the most acknowledgement and attention was with my photography nature work and not so much my portrait work. And I really think that shows that where your passion lies is where it speaks without you having to say anything.
Yes. Because you just instinctively want to put more effort into it.
Yes, and you do, and you find excuses to do it. And I had two studios at a time, so I ran two studios, and then I closed the one. I retired from wedding photography, and everybody thought I was crazy. What are you doing? You're doing so good here, and I'm like, yeah, but I don't feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So then I moved to out of state for a little while and close the other studio. So I sold and closed both studios and then just 100% started concentrating on my nature photography and selling my work that way through different various magazines and calendars, and getting attention on social media by different brands.
So there was an intent from the moment you pivoted. There wasn't a downtime after closing the
No,
studios where you kind of sat around and thought, what else do I want to do? You automatically knew and you just went
I
ahead and
I
did it.
knew. Yeah, I think I knew the entire time. Even when I was
Okay.
photographing people, if I was out in the field and I was photographing them, I found myself in between shots taking a picture of something else. Like, oh, look
Like,
at
oh,
that.
bird.
Yeah, bird. And I'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then I'd be like, oh no, it's fine. It's so great seeing you do that. And I'd be on the beach and I'd be like, you know what? I'm gonna be right back and
That's
going
funny.
off. And
No,
I just always was drawn there. It wasn't there was work, but it wasn't work. Do you
hmm.
understand what I'm saying? It just
Yes.
it just falls into place when you are doing what you are meant to be doing.
Now, taking another step back to when you were shooting in high school and you're
Yes.
experimenting and you're kind of finding what you like to shoot. Did
Yes.
you have a group of friends that also shot? Were you in a creative network with other people, or did you just kind of go on this whole journey by yourself and develop from there?
I there was the what did they call it back then? The yearbook staff. So
Okay.
I was part of that group in the photo group that they had, and they were very much about taking photos of people and sports.
Yes.
And then I was very much the person that was taking pictures of blades and grass and the clouds. So there was, there was a definite separation. And of course, I had to make sure that I got candids and photos for the yearbook. So I did
Yes.
those, but I kind of was off on my own.
Hmm.
I don't recall having like a buddy with me who took photos along with me. It was always me by myself, and not in a bad way. When
Yes.
you're in nature and you're hiking, that's kind of what happens, because anybody that goes along with you when you're out hiking to take photos, God bless them. They either going to carry your gear, or they're going to shoot video and behind the
Yes.
scenes shots. So they have to be very accommodating. So most of the time it was by myself.
In the early days when,
Yes.
because it sounds like we were kind of on the same cusp. I started in the darkroom also, and it was
Mm-hmm.
maybe a few years before digital started coming in and people
Yeah.
started switched over. Now
Yeah.
this is obviously pre-YouTube. This is
Yeah.
pre everybody sharing information on the internet. So when you
Mm-hmm.
started off and you had questions, where
Mm-hmm.
did you find your answers?
At the time there was these different groups that you can join. And I found a group kind of in the Buffalo area called Snap.
Okay.
And
Very
they
appropriate name.
were, yes, and it was a southwestern, oh my goodness, I can't even, something professional photographers. And it
Okay.
was kind of like a network of professional photographers, and we get together monthly and just talk about different things that worked and didn't work for us. And we also did trade shows. So
Okay.
once a year we would put on a big like convention, and different people from different camera related industries would come in and show us their product, and there would be photos, judging, and everything for the photographers who were part of this group. And I did that for many years before the whole digital revolution hit
Hmm.
and things just kind of exploded online. And then those organizations kind of closed down,
Hmm.
and it kind of all went social media. But that's where I learned a lot, especially through the photo judging. I'm very laid back when it comes to constructive criticism, or someone telling me what they think is what can be better with your photo.
Yes.
I've always listened. I've never taken offense, and I've always listened to what they've said, and then I would apply it, or I would nix it and be like, well, that's a nice opinion, but I'm going to do this. And I think that's what you got to do in this business too. You really have to establish what you want to show people, what you want them to see in your photos, and not so much what everybody tells you you should be doing or how you should be doing it. And I learned a lot in those groups.
Well, good on you for having that perspective, especially when you're young, because that's a hard
Yes,
thing to do.
it is. And it can make you second guess what you're doing.
Hmm.
I remember I've renamed myself a few times, and I started with my married name back then with Mitchell, and I started with Mitchell Photography because I was told back then, now this is 25 plus years ago, that having my name Martina, people wouldn't take it as seriously because it was a woman. And it's
Yes.
sad that that was even thought of, and I listened to them, so I put Mitchell on there and thought, okay, my business will get going with that because people won't think they're contacting a woman to do their photography, and especially a Hispanic woman.
Hmm.
But then as I grew and was noticed and published and everything, I switched it to Martina, and I was like, you know what, this is who I am. I'm a Hispanic woman who is learning and growing in this field, and not for nothing, I deserve that acknowledgement of who I am as a person. And I just grew even by leaps and bounds after I did that.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because that was a perfect segue into let's talk about your professional journey. And,
Yes.
the fact that you are a woman, what kind
Yes.
of gatekeeping did you deal with? What kind of obstacles did you have to overcome, especially, creating your own business?
Hmm.
And let's say, what year was this?
This
Let's
is,
put it into context.
Yes, 1998 through the year
Okay.
2000,
Hmm.
when not only was I starting the studios and trying to get my name out there and start getting paid for being a photographer, but I was also in a correspondence course to learn about professional photography. So I did that for 2 years as I was growing my business, because a lot of it was self-taught and a lot of it was through trial and error, but I also needed to know the mechanics, so to speak, behind professional photography and what I needed to do to understand what I was shooting with. So
Okay.
it is that time frame, the early 2000s, and there was a lot of gatekeeping, unfortunately. I don't know how to say it, lack of a better word, but kind of like a man's club. You know,
Hmm.
I'm this female woman kind of breaking into a field where all photographers at the time were men. The professional were men, and there was a handful of them that were absolutely wonderful, like Mr. Dens, really encouraging me, and then there was other ones that wouldn't give me the wouldn't talk or wouldn't acknowledge my work. I had a judge at one of the conventions I was at that did not want to talk to me. He scored my one photo really low. I think it was 72. And I wanted to ask him why. And he was worried that I was going to be upset. And I said, no, not at all. I want to know why you gave it this, because I see it this way. And I want to
Yeah.
see, because you're a professional in the field for over 30 years, I want to see what you're seeing so I know how to better myself. And he just did not want to speak with me, but he had no problems speaking with the men that were there. And those are like little things that I noticed that didn't hinder me, but made me want to work harder, made me
Yes.
want to fine tune what I was doing, and made me want to find those professional people who would speak to me and help me on this journey. Because you can have the education of how to use everything and the apertures and shutter speeds and compositions and leading lines and everything that goes into a photo. But you still need that network of support from others in
Yes.
the field. And so moving forward, I never stopped myself or pushed away anybody that wanted to learn more about photography. For a time, I did mentoring, and I did mentoring for other people in my immediate area, even though it was kind of frowned upon because they said, "Oh, you're kind of training your composition or your competition." And I said, "But how? You know, if we all have this, we all have our own style, and we all have this love
Hmm.
for photography. People are going to choose who they're going to choose
Yep.
regardless." So I just wanted to really just give back what was never given to me.
Yeah. One of my friends, Dean, he was on the previous live stream with us, and he made a really good analogy about giving information and being worried that they're going to encroach into your network or take away money from you, right? Well, it's
Yeah.
like if a chef makes a cookbook and everyone buys the cookbook,
Mhm.
10 out of 10 dishes are going to taste different. Everyone's got their own spin on it,
Exactly.
and there's still enough for
Oh, so
everyone to go
good.
around and still succeed.
Exactly. Exactly. And I love that analogy. That's really good. I'm going to have to use
Now,
that.
feel free. I'm sure Dean will love it. When was there a period of time that you felt or you noticed that you were being more accepted by the fellas? Was there an incident that happened? Do you feel like just in time overall as
Yes, there was definitely, I remember this in a great, the Snap people, they would put on, and it was majority of men. There was Stephanie, she was in there, but there was majority of men. And every 6 months, we would bring in a special guest, someone who's really succeeded in the professional field, and we'd bring them in to kind of put on a talk or a lecture. Well, my work was starting to be noticed by some of the members in there, and I was being published, and different things were happening. And they said, Martina, why don't you come in and talk about some of your photography work? And I was like, really? Okay, yeah, I'll do that. And I went in and I did this presentation. And afterwards, this one man who was crafts, you're going to have to excuse me. It's in the PPA. It's like the highest distinguishment. I think it's a
okay?
craftsman. And he, with all of his badges and everything, came up to me and he goes, wow, he goes, Martina, you have such a gift for this. And I want to see you grow more in this. This is amazing. And you need to speak more. You need to be out there more. And when he said that, it was just, I don't know if other men heard
He
it
like
or
turbo
what
boost and everything just fell into
yes,
place.
everything just kind of started falling into place. And I was like, all right, I can do this. That's right. I can speak about this. I have this passion. I have this love, and my work will speak for itself.
Nice.
And ever since then, it's just kind of catapulted.
That's awesome. Now, when you first started shooting and decided, all right, I'm going to make a profession out of this,
Yes.
how did you decide on weddings?
I money. There
Yeah.
was a lot of people looking for wedding photographers, and it was very easy to book them. And of course, my work spoke for itself too. You know, you have your, at the time, you'd have portfolios, and you'd have the engaged couple come in and look at their different work and your different packages. And I did very well. I booked all year round, but it was exhausting. And God bless the wedding photographers. It was exhausting, and it was very stressful, especially because you have that one opportunity to get the first kiss, to get the handoff, to get,
Yes.
all these different things. You got one shot. You have one
It's a
shot.
very, very vicious cycle. It's
Oh
a
my
machine that
goodness.
doesn't stop.
It does not. And I found myself, and it's not a negative, it's just not conducive to my personality. I found
Yes.
myself running the wedding. They were waiting for the photographer to kind of tell them, okay, what do we do next? Okay, what do we have going on next in most of the situations? And I had a lot of wonderful people who are doing their best to also capture the moment, but doing so with cell phones and standing in front of you. And you, okay, now I also have to be someone who is trying to teach others to stand off to the side.
Not
I'm
be in
trying
front
to
of you.
get the shot. Yeah, don't be in front of the photographer. And so I did it for 10 years. It was a wonderful 10 years. I was able to capture a lot of moments, and a lot of times those couples came back after they had their first babies, and I was able to photograph that too. And I have a handful of families that have been with me since the very beginning, and now I'm photographing their seniors, so their high school seniors.
That's pretty amazing.
It is. And but the wedding thing, it just seemed to fit at the time, and I could make my own schedule. I can pick and choose when to book and everything. And then that's just kind of led into the portrait studio with families and babies and all of that. But I was always just drawn back into nature every chance that I could get.
When you decided to pivot,
Yes.
how nerve-wracking was that to make such a big change?
It's extremely nerve-wracking.
Did you have to think about it for a good amount of time, or did you just set your foot and said, I'm going to do it?
I am no risk, no reward, right? I tend to be a little bit of a risk taker. I put all in. And I remember I still do occasional family sessions. I still book family sessions, but I do so on a very limited basis because I want to make sure that my nature photography kind of comes before that. And I remember doing the pivot and thinking, okay, I'm like everybody else. I have bills to pay, and I need to make sure that the lights stay on in my house. And I really did not make the full turn until I was picked up by Sigma. And then it was kind of more easy to make that decision because I had this big global corporation kind of have me on and have my back. But it was always intended. And of course, I have people say, oh, then you work for National Geographic. Oh, my goodness, that would be a dream. But no, I do not. Who wouldn't want to do
these
that?
Assumptions, right?
Oh my gosh, all the time. Oh, National Geographic. Are you a national? Well, that would be great, but no, unfortunately not. But then I just kind of tell them about Sigma, and it's just as cool. I get to go all over. But it was nerve-wracking to make that choice. And I think it's having confidence in yourself and your ability and your passion. And also, it took me a long time. I didn't just make that decision overnight. It was 2 decades.
Yeah.
before I made the full jump over.
Now, when you started thinking about the transition, was this something that you internalized and just went over everything inside your head, or did you consult anybody?
I internalized everything. I did. There was a couple of nature photographers that I followed on Instagram. Oh gosh, I want to say the one man's name was Barnaby or something. And I did reach out and just ask them because they weren't National Geographic photographers, but they were photographing full time and they were all
Yes.
over the place. And so I did reach out and say, what are you doing here? You know, how did you get to be able to do this full time? The one man lived out of a conversion van. So he
Nice.
told me that I know that's a dream, right? Just living in a conversion van all over the country, taking
Yeah.
photos. He said that he sold his house and was living off of those funds while he was establishing. Of course, I have not made that leap. I probably won't. And that's a little far from me,
Right.
especially when I have kids. And he was all over the country. And anytime that he would do a photo or something and sell it, he would use that money and just kind of cycle it back into being able to travel to the next spot and to the next spot
Okay.
to eventually now it's just full time and he has everything coming in. And the other man, he told me that he was selling books. And this was 15 plus years ago. He was selling books of his work and he was published in different things and gave me some leads to different publications, outdoor magazine.
Oh, so he was selling photo books.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he was selling photo books of his work and he was traveling all over. So between them two, I thought, okay, if they can do it and they can take the risk and they made this happen, I can too. And I mulled everything through in my head. I have a great support system that was very beneficial to doing so. And I just took it one day at a time. It was one day at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 month at a time. And every time something would publish, I would push that forward and it catapult me more and more and more. And then finally, Sigma noticed me because I've had people say, well, how did you get Sigma? How did you reach out to Sigma? I didn't. They found me. And it was kind of like the risk-taking thing. I do not condone anybody else to do this. So what I'm going to say next, I would stand up in my kayak with the 500 millimeter sport and hand hold shots and photograph birds in flight. So that got
That's
their
some
attention.
Cirque du Soleil stuff right there, Martina.
Yes, yeah.
That's not easy.
No, and that is what that's what got their attention. They were noticing this, smaller female standing in a kayak with this camera that's
this
half
massive
the length
cannon.
they are. Yeah, and
boom,
just
bazookas aimed at the sky.
and just shooting osprey and they reached out and we started a dialogue and I started with just writing some articles for them. And then it turned into webinars similar to what we're doing today. And then the lecture circuit began.
That's amazing.
So, and I've been, and it all from standing in a kayak and grabbing shots. And it just kind of speaks on their whole OS system too, because I wouldn't have been able to do that without their their stabilization in their lenses. So yes, and I still to this day, when I'm doing lectures, one of the first questions I get asked is, can you demonstrate how you stand without a tripod with the massive lens and photograph? Because I don't think people can believe it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about building your business. Let's go ahead and touch on when you started in the wedding field. Were you already shooting digital at that time full time, or were you in a transition phase where you shot for a few years on film and then switched over?
Yes, it was a transition time. I was one of those, I was taught in film and I knew film and I shooting in film. And I remember the transition, I think it was around 2000, 2001, around there when everything really started going digital. And I remember just kind of putting my feet in the sand, so to speak, and being like, no, I don't want to shoot digital. Digital is going to be a fad. It's going to come, it's going to go.
Yes.
It's nothing, it's not going to stick. And I was probably 2 years in and decided I'll give digital a try. I still shot Minolta. I was Minolta loyal from high school through, and I purchased the first Minolta digital camera, and it was good. This big, gigantic paperweight of a camera, and shot with that for a little while, and then without warning, they stopped. And I had all these lenses and I had bodies, and I read it in an article and I thought, oh, Minolta, how can you do this to me? And had to research, and Sony picked up the patents for Minolta. So everything was interchangeable.
I remember that.
Yes. So then I shot with Sony for a couple of years, but I kept breaking their cameras. And I would be in the middle of a photo session. Now, this is like the A100. This is.
I was saying this was A mount. It wasn't even E mount.
Yes. It was like a long time. Their first camera out, and I had two of them, and I broke two of them. And then I made the decision. I was like, I keep breaking these cameras. I'm going to have to do some research. So I compared Canon and Nikon, and Nikon was just more, seemed more familiar to me compared with like Minolta and Sony. So I went with Nikon. But that whole transition from film to digital, that was interesting, because at about the same time from going to the film to digital, I'm also having to learn Photoshop and Lightroom and RAW. And so everything that I learned with the digital or with the film and everything, now I felt like I was starting over. And I had to do a lot of trial and error to get to where I am. And I think that's one of the things that I tell people the most. I'm like, if you're discouraged, just keep sticking with it. Just keep going. Every mistake really should be used to learn something. Every single mistake. And I have a lot of them to get me to where I am today.
It's kind of, because my daughter picked up photography. She's got a little G7X, and she's out with her little cheerleaders taking all sorts of pics and stuff.
Does it get you excited though? Isn't it exciting? Like my son told me he was going to take digital photography. I was like, oh,
yes.
Yeah, I know. I was like, wow, one of my kids.
I wish they could experience the magic of the darkroom.
Yes.
Because that's what initially hooked me. Because I was a lot like you. I needed to fill a slot in my class schedule. And I took photography because my dad had equipment. And I went into the darkroom, and the first print I made, it was just like a cactus outside of the campus. And just watching it magically appear, I just instantly got hooked. I was like, I'm going to do this forever. This is amazing.
Right? It's like phenomenal that whole watching what you shot, what you envisioned just appear in the water. It's amazing. And I remember we did pinhole cameras. Do you remember that?
Oh, that's awesome.
You get the shoe box and do the little pinhole with my very first photo ever was of my high school, because we were outside and we were photographing it. And I remember that. And then after that, my very first photo was of my baby cousin. And she was sitting on like a log or something, and I put a hat on her head, and I took a picture, and I developed it in the dark room, but I developed it the way I wanted to develop it. And that was kind of, so I liked it a little brighter. And I remember doing that and just so proud of this picture, and to be able to give it to my aunt, and just so proud. But
it's such a fun process.
It is such a fun process. And you're right. They really should bring that back, or at least have like a study
somehow,
just to kind of to bring it back to like the old school and how we all began. And it makes us sound like we're so old too, and we're not.
Yeah, right. It wasn't really
like back in the 1900s.
Right, that's what my kids say too. In the olden ages, like settle down, kid.
Now, just slow down.
How hard was the transition for you to pick up Photoshop and all the other stuff, like the software? Because I remember back in the day, it was not what it is now. Like if you screwed up a picture in your edit back then, you had to start all over from scratch, because there was no history, there was no layers, it was destructive. As soon as you changed a pixel, it was changed. You can't go back. It was changed.
No, it was changed. And there was a lot of times when I tried to do something very simple and ended up ruining the image. And then like, that's why I know. And that's why to this day, I still, even though you know that first shot you got, and you know you have it, but you still take 10 more shots just
Right.
in case. But that was a scary, dark time.
Hmm.
Because having to learn all that and just really everybody was kind of learning at the same time, so there really wasn't anybody to ask. I don't remember reaching out to anybody and saying, how did you do this, or what did you do?
Did
But
you consider
that's when
yourself tech savvy at that point already, or did that force you into becoming tech savvy?
that definitely forced me to become tech savvy.
Okay.
And it is funny how fast and how quickly you learn things when you're up against the wall and have no choice.
Yes.
And that's how I felt a lot. I felt like I had to learn things on the fly. I felt like I had to figure this out right now within the next 5 minutes. Go, go, go. And that's kind of
Hmm.
how the whole digital revolution is too. And even today, we're constantly getting updates and different things. And
Yep.
now there's beta, and there's so much. And then you're having to kind of relearn. So then thankfully now there's great platforms like YouTube, so you can go and you can learn about the new feature, or you can learn about how different people are doing it and go from there. But back then, no, you had to learn. And I think that's where a lot of strength was gained by photographers who have been with the film all the way through that digital revolution into the present time. We have a lot behind us that those who came into the digital and only know digital might not understand fully. And I really am thankful that I have that foundation of the old school photography, because a lot of that is still used in my brain today with the digital.
Hmm. Now, when you were shooting weddings, were you a small team? Would you go into those solo?
I went in solo. The only
Hmm.
time I
Yeah.
had another shooter with me is if it was an all-day wedding, if they booked me for, the getting ready shots all the way to them getting in the car leaving for the honeymoon kind of a thing. That was the only time I brought on somebody else. And it's not that I couldn't bring on someone else. I was worried about how they were going to capture the images.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be the one who did it all. But then as I expanded and grew in the wedding field, I brought in interns from colleges. And so they came in and I would equip them with the gear and then they would shoot. So my photos, of course, were the ones that were the foundation of the wedding. And then theirs were all the extra fun stuff. So, and then the
Yeah.
interns also got to learn a little bit of the field. And I had two interns after a couple of weddings with me said, I will not be doing wedding photography. So I said,
Like, that's
yeah,
enough.
yeah, well, it's good that you know now. It took me 10 years to get out of it, but yeah.
Yeah. So, what kind of challenges did you find with getting equipment in the beginning? Did you learn a lot of mistakes by making mistakes or picking the wrong gear? Did you have somebody
Oh,
help
yes.
you?
Yeah. In the beginning, I stayed with the brand. So if I had a Minolta camera, I had Minolta lenses.
Mm,
So that was fine. But then there was a time when I wanted more and more, but the budget didn't allow for more and more. So
yes.
I would reach out and ask people, okay, I want to photograph weddings, but I also at the same time need to be able to take close-ups of what's on the table, but I want it all in one lens. And so I'd reach out and ask people, or I'd read reviews. And there was a bunch of lenses. Some of them, I'm not going to name them, but there was different lenses. And there was different lenses that I would get in and I would shoot with them and I'd be like, oh,
This is
well, I
not going
can
to
see
work.
why. Yeah, I can see why the
Yeah.
price point is where it's at on this one.
Yes.
And so it was a lot of trial and error. And then I developed my favorites. I am, for whatever reason, my core, if I think Minolta is starting to come back too. Did I read somewhere that they might?
I read a little something like that too.
Yeah, a little something like
Yeah.
that.
Nothing
But
too
I
concrete
think
yet.
no, no. And I think because that's where I started, I have such a heart for them.
Hmm.
But then switching to Nikon, I'm a Nikon person 100%. And then trying the different third-party lenses when I broke my 24-70 millimeter. I dropped it on concrete and it
Just
broke.
shattered.
And I mean, right on the front of the lens. I remember watching it kind of like a slow motion horror movie, right? And you're like,
Right.
oh no. And it broke, and the thing, oh, it was a hard day. Almost had a funeral for it. But and only gear people can understand that.
Yes.
And I was up against the wall and I didn't have the budget. And a friend of mine was like, hey, you should try Sigma. They're really good lenses. And I was like, oh, I've tried other lenses and it just never worked out. But then I saw their price point and I saw how well they were rated. And my first Sigma lens was a 2470 2.8. And I got it and I was like, oh my gosh, where has this been my whole life? This is wonderful. And then I just kind of added to it and I stuck with Sigma and Nikon. And through Sigma, because a lot of their mounts are for Sony, I now have a Sony camera and a Nikon camera that I shoot with. And then I use the different lenses.
When did you pick up the Sony again? Like, well, actually, tell everybody what you're using now for your Nikon body and your Sony body.
I use the Nikon 7Z2.
Okay.
And before that, it was, and I still have my Nikon D800. It's nice. Still a good camera. Yeah, it's an excellent camera. So I still have that, and the old 500 Sports from Sigma, it still sports it. So every once in a while, I'm like, nice. I'm gonna use this. And then I have the Sony 7. You think I should know this? This should all be ingrained in my head. There's so many different things. It's like the A7R something. Yeah, thank you.
They're on the 5th version or the 6th version now.
Yes. So, and I have the one below that. Okay. And yes, and they're great. And what I find is the Sony and the Nikon, they probably aren't going to like me saying this, but they're very compatible to each other. Where if you had, you wanted to shoot with the Nikon and click, and then pick up your Sony and start shooting with that, everything is really easy and easy to navigate and find. You just have to refamiliarize with like where their buttons are when you go to switch back and forth. But those are the two that I shoot with the most. And then the lenses that I carry with me everywhere are the Sigma 300 to 600 Sport. I will not be bringing that one to Texas because I like to carry my gear with me on the plane and it won't fit in my bag. But then I also shoot with the 150-600 Sport, still have the 2470 original art. Is still in my bag and still works great. And then the 28-105. I just like to have a variety where if I am in nature and I'm photographing with a telephoto and I'm just not seeing the birds that day, I can switch to landscape and then use them like my 2470 or 28-105. So it's all how I got there was just trial and error, was trying different lenses, seeing what worked and doesn't work. I know some people love their prime lenses. I am a zoom person. I like to have a range. And there has been very few prime lenses that I have kept on me for a long period of time. I've always gone back.
Well, it seems like you're in a field where it just makes more sense to have a zoom.
It does. Yeah, it does, because you never know. And a bird is going to go from like here to here, and you can't move yourself. So you're going to have to zoom in and out.
Well, I think it's also a testament to the technology and how it's evolved, because back in the day, way back in the day, there might have been some merit to saying, hey, I can't shoot the zoom because the image quality is just not there. But nowadays, they're so good. Half the time people can't tell. You can't distinguish between the two.
No, you can't. And the OS systems in these lenses, like Sigma came out with their OS 2. And it's just better and better. You're getting to the point where you could be doing jumping jacks and still photograph a bird in flight because it just locks it in. The stabilization just fixes. And
so we're going to have you demonstrate how to shoot birds while doing jumping jacks when you're done.
That's on a canoe at the same time, on the kayak, jumping jacks with it. Oh my gosh. I got to keep relevant.
That's hilarious. Now, when you go on these trips to go shoot the birds, what are you allotting time wise, and how do you decide what you're bringing?
Well, lots of times what I'm bringing depends on how long of a hike I'm going to take, because I got to carry it. So my
Okay.
backpack, and I've weighed it, it weighs about 22 pounds. So that's on
Okay.
my back. And because I don't want to be without the 2470 or the 28105 or another Zoom. But if it's a shorter hike, a lot of times I take one lens with me,
Okay.
especially if I know that I'm going out to shoot birds, and that's going to be the 300 to 600 because I need that, and it's going to be fast, it's going to be accurate, and if I'm just walking a quick preserve, then I know I'm not going to be on a longer hike, and I can just take the one lens with me. The longer the hike, the more I take, which sounds kind of opposite of how it should be.
Counterintuitive, right?
Yes, counterintuitive, but in my work and how many times I've been out in the field and how many times I have walked and how many times I have hiked, always, 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 I've taken these long hikes, gone to a situation. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at this vista. Oh, I got the 300 to 600. I can't take a landscape of this, or I can't focus on the bald eagle that's on this branch and then zoom out and have the mountains and everything behind it. It's all going to be just the eagle, and I can't show the surroundings. And with
Mhm.
my work, I really, really, really like to showcase more than just the bird or more than just the animal. And if I do zoom in on just the bird or the animal, I like it to be a certain light and a certain thing that'll make you stop and look at it. So the
Mhm.
longer the hike, the more I take. The shorter stroll around, I'm just grabbing my telephoto and running in there.
Gotcha. Real quick, back to the 300, 600.
Yes.
Our man Daverin, he wanted to say it's going to be there because he's bringing it
Oh,
for the photo
yay. Well
walk.
then, oh,
He said,
that's right.
because
I
I'm
think I read
cool. It's
that.
going to be there because I'm cool.
That's right. And then of course, when we had loners, it was in I think I was in Seattle for that lecture last year, and they had the 300 600 on the walk, and I thought to myself, oh, they're bringing the 300 600, so I'll be able to shoot with it and show people. Oh no, sir. Everybody there needed to have their hands on it,
They
and
wanted
I
it.
loved it, and I was like, yes,
Yes.
pick it up and shoot with it, because you're going to want it. You're gonna go home and you're gonna be like, what can I sell or do to get
Yeah.
this in my arsenal? Because it is an amazing lens. It's my favorite to date.
Yeah. That 200 is pretty awesome too.
Yes, the 200 is really good.
Yeah.
But I'm just partial to that one. And if people ask me, oh, what's your favorite one? And I will say the 2470. And it kind of sounds funny as a nature photographer, but I also do a lot of
Mhm.
landscapes and things too. And I really do love that lens for that. But then the 150 to 600, the 60 to 600, both sport lenses, those are amazing too.
Now, prior to becoming a partner with Sigma,
Mhm.
and how did you find support for your photography?
I think
Was
social
that all
media.
social media?
Yeah, a lot of it was social media. Of course, friends and family. Everybody loves your work, right? I mean, you could take
Mhm.
a picture of a rock, and they'd be like, "Wow, it's amazing." And
You're so good.
you're so good. You should keep going. But we need those kind of people in our life.
Yes.
But after that, it was really the social media, when kind of where the digital revolution hit and social media became around like 2009, and
Mhm.
everything, just social media just like exploded. That really helped a lot get my work seen. So it wasn't me so much saying, oh yeah, this is what I do, and maybe go online if you have a computer to see my
Yep.
website. But now it's front and center. Now it's where everybody can see it. Now it's where people can like it and they can share it, or they can follow you. And then that throws that into their algorithm, and then their friends get to see it. And then more and more people see it. And then the tags came along, where you started tagging everything that you could. And I would tag anything I was using. I would tag like Sigma. I would tag the lenses I'd use, the gear, Tiffin. I would tag the bags I was using, anything just to kind of get the attention. But it wasn't until the standing in the kayak thing that really got me noticed.
Do you handle all your social media?
Yes.
So
Yes, I do.
how do you balance the time necessary to make your photography successful as well as your
Yeah.
social successful? Because that's the social media is a full-time job.
It is. It really is. And I think a lot of it, especially the last few years where they had the meta, if I'm saying that correctly, where you can go in and you can schedule different posts and things,
Hmm.
that's very beneficial. And honestly, just getting on there and making a point where you're going to choose your time when you're going to make your post, whether it's going to be the evening or the morning, but making a point and shooting every day. There was a time when every single day at the same time, I was posting a photo, regardless of what I shot. It was something I went out, I shot it, I posted it. And you have to be consistent, because as soon as you're not consistent in it, you drop off and then you're not really seen by anybody. And one of the other things that, and I am guilty of this because Sigma is always telling me we need some more reels, and getting videos is so tough. Yes, the reels, the behind the scenes shots. And when
You're
you're
like, I
out in the
take
field and
pictures
you're,
though.
it's so hard. You almost need
Yeah.
like a little media team following you around.
Yes.
But it's difficult because you get out there in the field and it's migration season. So you're like photographing all these different birds, and then you get home, you're like,
Yes. You're super
oh,
hyper focused on what you need to get
yes,
done for your stills, and then
yes,
you go home, you're like, shit, I
yes,
didn't get any
yes.
reels.
I didn't get any reels. I didn't get any BTSs, and nothing. So, and sometimes if someone is with me, I'll say, hey, take some shots, take some video.
Hmm.
Kind of feels funny. Hey, do you mind making some video of me? But
Do
it
you give
works, and those
yourself
ones get a lot of attention.
do you give yourself a strict schedule as far as your screen time and when you do work and when you don't work?
No, honestly, it is when I have the moment, when
Hmm.
it is a rainy, dark day, but you can still shoot. I like those moody ones. Or you have some downtime. A lot of times when I go on these lectures and I go around the country, a lot of times I catch up when I'm in the hotel room, and I'll
Okay.
just sit in the hotel room, get room service, and catch up on all my socials. But there isn't a strict time frame. And as silly as it sounds, a lot of times I need to be inspired to be
Yes.
able to do that, because I find that if you force yourself to, okay, I have to do this now, it's not received as well. It's almost like what you're thinking translates into the post you make. So
Yes.
I try to do it when I'm really inspired, I'm really excited about a shot, or really excited about an opportunity, or really excited about something that's going on. Then I go ahead and I make those posts. But that's very important. I know that some do a strict schedule where they're like, okay, my media time is between A, B, and C, or whatever. And if that works for them and it works great, then go for that. But for me, I'm a lot more casual and a lot more loose with that.
How many other partnerships do you currently have outside of Sigma?
Um, Let me think. There was a textbook that I was doing their chemistry photos,
Hmm.
and then just random. Um, I haven't done it in a while though. Some random calendars, uh, but mostly Sigma. And I was talking with Tiffin for a little while. We were discussing some different filters, and I'm going to say their name wrong. Slick, the tripod.
Yes.
Yes. And then because when I use a tripod, which is very rare, that's the one I use. And that's pretty much it. I don't use a lot of artificial lighting. So I don't really have anybody like that I work with the lighting. I'm using Loom Cube right now, which is great. But outside of Sigma and then just who they partner me with, that's who I work with.
And you said they reached out to you.
Yes.
How did that conversation go?
They noticed the kayak photos, and how they really liked it. It was like an osprey flying, and it was coming down, and it was the first shot. And they wanted to know if I was really doing it that way, because I would provide still photos, right?
Yeah.
Are you really doing this? Because before we go any further, we need to make sure
Right.
that you're not like, on a bank or something making it seem. I'm like, no, I'm really doing this. So that whole conversation started, and they wanted to loan me some other lenses to see if I can replicate the images that were showing in my social media, specifically with more of their lenses. And so I started that way, and I would just provide images, and they would showcase them every once in a while and just call me, photographer Martina Abreu. And it kind of went from there to, hey, we have a new lens and we like you to shoot with it and then write an article about it. So then I started doing that, and I do a bunch of those a year. And then it was, hey, would you be willing to travel to talk
Nice.
to others on how you're doing this and being able to capture these images and show and talk? And I said, absolutely, let's do it. And so I've been with them. Oh gosh, Nick is going to be like, I told you how many years and you already forgot. I think it's around 5.
Nice.
Yeah.
So in that time, how has it evolved in terms of what they're expecting from you?
I think they put a lot of confidence in me. They've never demanded anything. They've always known that I'm going to produce images that they can be proud to show, or to showcase that their lenses are capturing these images. And the different conditions, because I'm shooting in snow and rain and surf and everything where I am. They've never demanded that I shoot a certain way. They have accepted me fully for the artist that I am and the work that I do, and have showcased that and have run with that.
That's
and
pretty
I think
awesome.
I think that is amazing.
Yeah,
Out of
'cause
the
it's
different companies that I've talked to, they have been really supportive of who I am as an artist and showcasing that.
well, it sounds like the whole relationship's pretty organic, and they give you a lot of autonomy because they trust you.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
takes a lot of
Yes.
stress off your shoulders.
It does. And what's the saying, right? I mean, as photographers, we are all our own worst critic, right?
Yes.
And before I even show an image, I have looked it up and down and sideways and everything that I could have improved on it. So they know that they are getting the very best I can do from me, and they never have to worry about that. And that is who I am as a person and who I am as an artist anyway. Where we look at our photos and look at everything that we could have done different to make it
Yes.
better. You have others that look at it and think that you hung the moon, and it is such a pleasure when someone buys. You can't just blurt out, but when someone buys
Yes.
your work and wants to hang it up in their house,
That's a massive
that is
compliment.
priceless,
Yes.
right? Priceless.
So you said you've been with them for about 5 years now.
Yes.
Okay. So you know firsthand the transition that they've been in, and not only their marketing and their branding, but the, I guess, customer experience of buying a Sigma lens. Because
Yeah.
what they've done with the boxes and the whole unboxing experience is just, I've told them several times, like, you've changed it into like a boutique experience.
That's exactly, and they would love hearing that, because that is exactly where we want to be. And it's not so much the mass marketing to everybody out there, but a boutique experience, a very niche, so to speak,
Yeah.
and I like that word boutique, because it's very refined and very classy and
Very much so. Because
beautiful. Yes.
you're not opening a box and then pulling out a lens with 15 other pieces of cardboard.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you could take a picture of the box
Yeah.
being unboxed, and it would look
Yeah.
like a piece of marketing material because it's so clean.
Yeah. Yes. And it's beautiful. That whole transition and just our rebranding and everything. It's gorgeous, and it's an experience. Like what you said, the unboxing. It is
Yeah.
literally an experience. You get the box, and you're like, "Ooh, I can't
I
wait
ran
to
I
open
ran
it."
by the shop to grab this BF and this lens, and the 200 will
Yeah,
have something
yeah, I
decorative.
see
And
that.
even when
I
I
like
got
that.
home, I'm opening the box. I'm like, this is so
Yeah,
awesome.
it is. It's so pretty, and you're like,
Yes.
I'm gonna keep this box. Everything's just pretty. They've done a remarkable transition between where they were and what they are now, and the plans for the future and what's coming. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting! It's so
Yeah,
exciting.
because
Where
I
they're just
remember,
launching more.
in the early 2000s, late 90s, excuse me, it was still very much you could only get your hands on first party things.
Yes.
Third party didn't work. Third party wasn't
Mm-mm.
good. And
No.
I think sometime around, I guess, early Amazon days, like nobody would have bought
Mhm.
a Godox flash. You'd have
No.
only bought a speedlight from Nikon or only bought a
Exactly.
speedlight from Canon. And it just kind of opened up this market. And as good as it was, it also created a problem because there were so many third party products that just were garbage.
They were nothing more than a paperweight, honestly.
Yes.
I've
And
experienced that myself
and even with the
back then.
lenses, like you said, you didn't
Mhm.
want to name them, even though I'd have been fine if you did. No, I'm kidding. To see the
Yeah.
recognition and the respect that Sigma has developed in that time
Mhm.
has been
Yes.
nothing short of amazing. Because a lot of the video side, because I shoot a lot of video stuff with Sony,
Yeah.
and a lot of times people get on there like, "Hey, I can't afford this G Master lens. What are my other options?" It's always Sigma. That's all you see online,
Absolutely.
and they've developed such a
Absolutely.
following.
They have, and a lot of respect and a lot of accolades too. We've received awards and everything, and they really do. And with Sigma, they're not just producing a lens to get a lens out there because everybody else has that lens or they want to be
Hmm.
a piece of that market. They genuinely care who is receiving their product, how it's shooting, and what it's producing. It is important to them. It is important as a family member. It is why I continue to work with this company because they are very respectable, they are dependable, and their customer service is amazing. And yes, I'm a Sigma ambassador, and you might think, oh, she has to say no. I don't. I don't have to say anything.
Yeah,
And they are a remarkable company, and their products, I will use them for the rest of my life, and they're only getting better and better and better.
yeah. And another note, it's so we're so trained to from where we started. There was the trifecta, right? There was the 16 to 35, 24 to 70, and the 7200. But now they're
Yes.
all coming out with these kind of like strange focal ranges.
Yeah.
And at
Yeah. I
first I'm like,
know.
I don't get this. And then we get it in the shop you play with, like, I was like, okay, now I understand.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
their progression and I can't find the word right now. Their
Yeah, but
innovation. The innovation's
yes,
coming along and it's
and I
working
think
out.
that's what it is. And those specialty ranges too. They're kind of like to me more documentary type things like
Hmm.
street lenses and documentary style and things that maybe the fundamental photographers like us who did portraiture and nature photography, then there's this whole other following for those specific lenses
Hmm.
and people that are going to use those specific lenses. But yeah, some of those have come out, I've been like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, I never thought of that.
Yeah. Now
Yeah.
let's go ahead and talk about this coming weekend.
Yeah.
We've got two classes on Friday. The morning class at
Yes.
11 is specifically on shooting birds.
Yes.
The class in the evening at 6:30 is wildlife in general.
Yes.
And on Saturday morning, we have a photo walk at the
Mm-hmm.
Trinity River Audubon at 8 to 10,
8. Yes.
where you'll put into action what you talked about in the classes. Is there
Mm-hmm.
anything you want to expand on what people can expect and what to bring?
Yeah, I can give a little outline on what to expect. With the birding and the wildlife photography, I always do a little segment on wildlife or photography ethics, nature ethics. I think it's very important anytime there is a captive audience to kind of train people on what we should and should not be doing in an environment to lessen our impact on the environment and the animals and creatures that inhabit it.
I love
Too
that
many
because
times. Yes.
I am a very outdoorsy person. I do a lot of cycling, a lot of
Yeah.
mountain biking, a lot of hiking, and trail etiquette and ethics is not something that
Yes.
everybody understands. So I appreciate you
No.
putting that out there and educating
Yes.
people on that.
Yes, and I have a heart for that as well. And I think, and it's not so much that people have bad intentions; they just don't know.
They don't know.
So no, so part of that is diving right into that right first, and just kind of going over that, and then going right into how I came to be what I'm doing. And then a majority, the most of it is just a bunch of storytelling and different photos. And I also like to share my little recipes with the photos, so to speak, like what aperture, what shutter speed, what focal length, and
Nice.
what ISO, all of that to get the photo that I received. Because I don't do gatekeeping. If someone's going to ask me, well, how did you shoot that? I'm going to tell them. Because
Yeah.
it's still going to be up to them to look at it and do it. I am a full manual shooter minus the auto focusing. Most of the time, the auto focusing I use. Sometimes I do trip it and go into a manual focus if it's a still image or something, just to make sure I get it where I want it. But mostly with the auto focusing and all the tracking and everything that they have now on cameras, I keep it on that. But everything, I tell the camera what to do. I don't rely on the camera to tell me what it's going to do. I tell it what to do. So I share with people there how to do that. And they say, well, how can you do that? You're standing there and you have a split second to grab that. And then I kind of tell them little tricks about how I have the camera set up for the conditions before I start my hike. And then as a hike progresses or I am shooting something, I can adjust those settings for my base settings. So
Okay.
I just kind of expand on that, and then a different camera, the different lenses that I use and things, and how I shoot it and how I hold it, because I only use a tripod. I don't think I ever use a tripod. Even in my, I'm like thinking Nick from Sigma would attest to this, because we were having to shoot at night and I didn't have I don't have a tripod, and I was just using like my book bag, a stone, a stump,
Yeah.
whatever, to get those long exposures. Tripods feel so mechanical, and I feel like I can't be who I am shooting when I have this tripod.
I get it.
So I go over a bunch of different things. And I really enjoy doing lectures and having the people be a part of it. I always tell them, you're not just the audience. You're here to ask questions and to engage. I want to know about you. I want to know what you're shooting. I want to know if you have a question. Don't be shy. And if I can't answer it because of something ultra technical or calculus or something, I'm going to ask my tech rep that's with me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very engaging. I keep it lighthearted. I keep it fun. And I just want people to have a good time and come out of there knowing a little bit more to help them be a better photographer.
Well, I'm excited to be there because I've never shot animals. I've shot a lot of sports, which I can kind of imagine there's
it's kind of
probably a lot
similar.
of the same foundations, but yours is ultra unpredictable.
Yes.
Like if I'm shooting a bike race, at least I have an idea of where they're going to go because there's a course.
Yep.
Or if it's a sport that I'm familiar with, there is a little bit of variability on where the athlete decides to go, but it's within a small window. You're shooting a massive lens, a tiny bird in the sky, and you have no idea where it's going to go.
Nope, none at all. And it takes
amazing.
a lot of practice for sure, but that's everything that I share with everybody who comes.
So what do you enjoy the most about shooting birds?
Yeah, I've been asked that a lot of times too. And out of everything that I shoot, I didn't specifically one day say, you know what, I'm going to concentrate on birds. Mm-hmm. It just fell into my lap. I found myself totally transfixed on their flight, their movement of their wings, their unpredictability, the almost primal instinct you need to be able to capture them. It was such a challenge, and I like challenges. So I just found myself really drawn to them, and especially their flight, for whatever reason, their flight. And I always wanted to showcase birds in a different light where it's not, oh, that's a pretty bird on a branch. I wanted to shoot them under different lighting conditions. I wanted to kind of show their personality through the photo.
Let me pull some of these up as you're talking, because you've got some fantastic stuff.
Thank you. And just being able, like that, for instance, that was in Florida on the Gulf Coast, and I was in an inlet. And yes, I know exactly where I took every single one of my photos. And and I remember watching him just hover on the air, because they'll hover before they go down to get their prey. So they're hovering and
Mhm.
they're looking. And I just remember looking at him and thinking, my gosh, what is he thinking? What is he doing? And you can just tell with the intensity of his eye, you can almost follow his eye and you'd know that he's looking in the water and he's searching for something. And the way that the light was playing and where it was hitting, it just was right. So I snapped the shot.
I am
And that's
a massive science and anatomy biology geek, and
mhm,
birds are just modern day dinosaurs. They are
right.
so just such gnarly animals that people, if they took the time to kind
Their
of
talons.
dissect to like understand exactly what's going
Yeah.
on with these animals, it's
Yeah.
crazy. Like look at this guy.
Yeah. Isn't he's like prehistoric looking? Isn't he
It is so
prehistoric? So
wild that these things are just
that
walking
is
among us.
the spoonbill, the roseate spoonbill, and that again was in Florida. And now these ones are a little elusive to find. So when I photographed that one, he was in a cluster of about 3 or 4 of them. And thankfully, I was with someone. Talk about being zoned in and knowing your
Hmm.
environment. Be aware that there are alligators in Florida that
Yes.
like to be by water. So I was photographing him, and an alligator kind of just slowly was making their way. And the people that I was with was like, Martina, there's an alligator right there. I shot the alligator too. But yes, the
Nice.
alligator was close. I got him within he was in a 300 millimeter. I didn't even have to zoom in that far. But
That's
yeah,
great.
gnarly bird, very interesting. Their color comes from what they're eating, just like a flamingo. And they are such an unusual looking bird.
Tell me a little bit more about this shot.
So that is, I believe that is the female grosbeak. So where I live, and it's hard to explain because some of my shots, people think the background is a different background or something, and I do not do that, people. I
Oh,
like to
they're
shoot.
thinking that you transpose something in there in
Yeah, that I
Photoshop. I got
transpose
you.
the
Yeah.
background. But how I live and where I live, there is my backyard and it swoops down. There is a creek and then it immediately goes straight up. And right over there, the sun sets. So when the
Hmm.
sun starts setting, I get this beautiful, insanely beautiful light, especially when there's no foliage on the trees that comes in. And this bird was sitting there, and that time of day, that light was coming in. And I was watching this bird because I thought she was striking with her contrast of colors. And I was watching this bird, and I waited for her to turn her head a certain way to make it look like she was like staring at the sunlight that was coming in. So a
Uh-huh.
lot of my time, it's observation. It's just looking through the lens until I see the shot that I want to take.
The shot looks like a movie poster.
Thank you.
It's that
I love
I
light.
don't
I love
I don't
light.
I don't like throwing the word cinematic around because it gets
Yeah.
thrown around too much, but this is what I would consider something. It's like it looks
Yeah.
like filmography. It's fantastic.
Yes. Yes.
This is a rad shot too.
Yeah, so this was at a nature preserve and it was first thing in the morning. And it was one of those days where there was a lot of fog that was still burning off. And that doe was actually in a swampy area. And there wasn't any foliage in the tree and there's still some snow on the ground. And I walked into the preserve, and deer do not get a lot of attention because we see so many deer, and people see a deer photo and they're like, okay, it's like a rabbit
Hmm.
photo or a seagull photo. They don't get a lot of attention. And I always, when I photograph those animals that get a lot of attention and people don't see, I want to show them in a different light. And she just
Yes.
happened to be walking through this marshy area, and she turned and looked at me, and the way that the sun was rising and coming through the fog and backlighting her, that was a one shot and done. I didn't get another opportunity. And it just set up so beautifully to be almost surreal. Like, how, wow, that you saw this and was able to photograph this. But it is all the conditions, the lighting, and just being in the right place at the right time.
Did you have to be super stealth mode when you took this shot?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
You, did you have to go into like super ninja mode, like really
Yeah.
slow movement and hold your breath, or were
Yes.
you?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
because they
hold my
freak
breath
out.
a
They just
lot.
take off.
Oh, they do. As soon as they know, because they're a prey animal, right? And so as
Hmm.
soon as you make any weird movement, they're going to take off. And that's
They're
exactly
toast.
what
They're gone.
happened. Yes. And I slowly like, okay, hold your breath. Okay, bring it
Hmm.
over. Okay, lock her and click. And then she goes. But yes, a lot of my shots, and I've noticed this when they have me demonstrate at the lectures, I hold my breath a lot, and then you get a little
Yeah.
lightheaded. So try to remember to breathe.
Yes.
But you hold your breath and you're click, click, click. And it just set up so nice. And you can kind of tell in this photo, I am behind shrubbery because there's
Yeah,
like
I can see the
some
foreground.
ghosting. Yes.
Hmm.
And I like to do that sometime to kind of frame the animal too, and just kind of lead into the image itself. But that was a very beautiful moment. And I'm glad that
Do
you showed
you?
that one because not a lot of people get the beauty in that shot.
Oh, I love that shot. Do you lean on the silent shutter? Do you use that
No,
all the time? Or you use regular shutter?
it's regular shutter. It's I have not, knock on wood, been in the position where a shutter disrupts anything that's going on. A lot of times I'm by running water. It's windy.
I
There's
got
something
you.
else going on that it masks that very minute sound. I can throw it into silent shutter. I just have not.
Do you
I've
know
not had.
of, I think it's an Instagram account. That's how I know of them, but it's called Nature is Metal. Have you ever seen that?
No, but that sounds awesome. Nature is
It's
metal,
it's all it's all little
like
video
rock and
clips or
roll kind of a thing.
yes, it's all
That's awesome.
videos and pictures of animals just being animals and like a lion eating its prey.
Oh
And this
man.
reminded me of that.
Oh my gosh, that is one of the ones that I showcase in my lectures because it gets the most, oh my goodness, and the most laughing. Because this barred owl, it was during the wildfire times when Canada had a lot of wildfires. We're very close to Canada.
Okay.
So we had like this was last summer, the summer before, or not even the summer, but it was very orange and hazy. So the lighting conditions were really dark in the woods. I got a tip about this barred owl nesting hole, and I went and I saw the barred owl, and the barred owl flew into a hole. But then it came back out of its hole and grabbed that half of a red squirrel to show me. It did not fly. It went into its cavity and pulled the squirrel out to show me the squirrel. I'm not sure if that was a threat or if it was
Yeah, I
like,
was like,
hey,
is it like a warning shot for you to stay away, or was it saying, "Hey, look
yeah,
what I
like
did"?
you see what I did to the squirrel? Yeah. So that was a really neat experience.
I'll show a couple more and I'll let you go. I'm taking a lot of your time. This is a cool
Thank
little
you.
shot. I'm
Those
assuming there's some sort of precipitation going on.
Yes. So it snows a lot. This was shot out a window at a house, and there was a lot of house finches just kind of fluttering around because there was a bird feeder, and
Hmm.
they all landed on that shot. I took a series of 12, about 12, to get this one shot. So people know that it is not just a one and done. Sometimes you have to take multiple shots to get that one shot that you really want. And that was one of the situations. The one bird in the middle happened. I wanted the two, but I was waiting for them to get closer together. And then the third one landed in and I clicked it.
That's awesome.
So it just worked out.
Color on this
Uh,
one's amazing.
that is fall time. So, and that again is my backyard. So the hill behind is all fall with the sun setting. So really made it orange and vibrant with the blue jay in the forefront. So it gave that nice, creamy, wonderful bouquet backdrop
Hmm.
to this jay being at the forefront. And the colors just mesh so well together. And it just happened to be the environment, the situation of the foliage behind it, the sun coming in, and that bird sitting in front of that.
And the last one, this guy's in action right here. That's so cool.
And I've had people say, "How did you frame him with the trees?" He was this was in New Jersey at a lecture. They brought in a falconist to give the people who came real life time or real life shots of birds in flight.
That's pretty
So
awesome.
yeah, and I thought, what a great opportunity. He was on a tent, so you can kind of see in his feet there's like orange, a little bit more orange color that was coming from that tent.
Yeah,
And he just happened to leap and put his wings out. And I just clicked the shot, and he was right in between both of those trees at the time. And I just happened to capture it. It was just all in the timing and being ready for them when they go to fly.
that's so cool. All right. It is time for some Q&A if you're ready.
Yes, I believe I have a few minutes.
Okay. So I put out a questionnaire out there, and these are just a few of them. What are some important tech tips for beginners that want to start shooting wildlife?
I think what it comes down to is gear, kind of knowing what your gear, what you feel comfortable shooting. And if you don't have the budget to go and buy a bunch of lenses, go out and try some. There's some great companies out there that you can do loaners, and you can or rent, I'm sorry, renters, where you can rent the lens for a little while, but you have to know what you're going to photograph, what you're going to really focus on, and the type of lens that you want to do for them. Tech wise, I think that if, for instance, if you're going to do a lot of landscapes, you're going to want a wider lens. You're gonna do a lot of wildlife photography. You want to do those telephotos, but you're going to have to look at the range. The aperture is very important, especially with wildlife photography. You want to make sure that you have not only a large range or a large aperture, but that aperture is throughout that range. So if you're going to shoot at the 600, you're still going to be able to do that at your 4 or your 5.6, all the way down to your 300. So getting started, I'd say you really need to know what you're going to shoot or what you're going to concentrate on.
What are 3 artistic tips beginners should consider?
Look at your surroundings, know your light, what you see with your eyes, know how to capture that in camera. I think one of the things is knowing, when people say, oh, you have the eye for it. I think you have to develop your eye. You have to look at how light plays in a scene, how it casts shadows, what it shows in textures of things, how it throws your subject to be illuminated or not illuminated. You really have to look at your subject. You have to study what's in front of you.
Very good. What is your favorite type of bird in flight shooting? It says blind, nature preserve, wetlands, etc.
Wetlands. Wetlands is where I find the most wildlife. And I think it's because it's harder for humans to get into. So you get a higher concentration of wildlife there. So get ready to get wet. Don't wear your expensive shoes, but get into those wetlands. Yes, wetlands, because you get everything from your red-winged blackbirds to your cranes, and then you're getting muskrats and beaver, and you're just getting a variety, and even deer will come through there.
All right, this one's very specific. It asks, do you have any advice for somebody traveling to Alaska for the first time and wants to capture things like whales, bald eagles, otters, etc., especially whales? How can you prepare for the shot, not knowing when they might reach the water?
Oh, isn't that a tough one? That's just like birds, where you will hold that lens for what seems like an eternity, waiting for that bird to fly.
You're sitting
And
there
the
going,
minute
please,
you
please,
think,
please.
yes, and the minute you're like, I need to breathe and put that lens down, they take off.
Yeah.
Timing is everything. Watching the waves, because I know that there's like a breach that starts to happen before they erupt. Listening to the people that are on these charters taking you out, because they know, just be very close with them. They know, because they do it hundreds and hundreds of times, probably in a week, on where these whales are, when they're going to erupt, and what to look for. So listen to them, and just being ready and making sure that if you're going to bring something that you want to photograph, the scenery plus wildlife, that you have a very large range, like a 60 to 600. You can get away with a 60 format sometimes for landscaping, especially if you can only bring one lens, and just making sure that you're comfortable hand holding it and you're comfortable with the waves, and make sure that you use the stabilizers that come in those lenses, especially the Sigma ones. They have awesome ones.
All right, Martina, just a couple rapid fires. You don't have to go too in depth with your answer on these. These are more for people to get to know you a little bit better.
Okay.
What are you listening to when you're crushing your edits? What kind of music?
I don't listen to music.
You don't listen to music at all?
No, I watch like 48 Hours.
Oh, nice.
It's just background noise.
It's about the first 48.
Aliens, I have that on a lot. I know, that's crazy.
Nice. When it's time for Martina to decompress, what does she do?
Go to nature. I take a walk. I sit by a stream. I get away from people.
Nice. New York or Chicago style pizza?
Oh, buffalo.
Of course. Burgers or dogs?
Burgers.
Burgers. What piece of tech is a must-have for you? And it doesn't even have to be photographic related.
Um, um, I'm sorry, I'm losing I get so excited about it. The spider software for your monitor to calibrate it
Oh, the
correctly.
calibrator.
So,
Yes.
yes, calibration for your monitor, so important. So when you do get that print, you are getting exactly what you shot in the correct, and you're looking at it correctly.
What is there a piece of photographic equipment that you sold or got rid of but wish you did not?
Hmm.
Was there a body from back in the day? You're just like, man, I wish I
My
still had
Minolta.
that thing.
I wish I still had the original, my
You really
original
love Minolta.
Minolta. I do. Hi, Minolta.
That's amazing. When did you realize the difference between art and commerce? Because I think
I
that's a
think
distinguishing line that a lot of people have a problem with.
yes. You mean like balancing selling your art and trying to make money? Is that what you're kind of stipulating? I think when
Yes.
it came down to I cared more about what I wanted to show people than I cared about what I was putting in my pocket. When I stopped chasing the money and started concentrating on my passion. That's what it is for me.
If you were not a photographer, what would you be?
Police officer.
No, you'd go back to that. All right. And last one,
I think I would have.
yeah. Last one, I'll let you go. Have you ever been attacked by an animal while you were shooting?
Yes, sir.
By what?
And I'm still scared to death of them. The Canada goose.
The Canada goose. It's funny because people don't realize how aggressive those things are.
They could break limbs. I mean, they could break a bone. They are not nice. If I see them, I go the other way. A bear, no problem. I'll go towards the bear safely and shoot it safely.
Yes.
Canada goose, I am turning around and going the other way.
What happened? They just charged you?
They do. They are so mean, especially during migration and nesting season. They start hissing, they start doing this head thing, and I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
hey, I'm good.
I'm out.
No problems. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, Martina, thank you so much for your time. I know we took a lot,
Thank
we ran a
you.
little bit over.
Thank you.
Everybody, the link for the sign up is in the description. We've got 2 classes, Friday morning, Friday evening, and the photo walk on Saturday morning. I'll quickly throw up this list of lenses that Davin will bring to the photo walk. If you're an E mount or an L mounts, we even have a couple Fuji and Canon RF lenses. It's going to be a good time. You'll get to see Martina
Yes, I
actually
will.
and
Mhm.
put into action what she taught you in the lectures. So is there anything that you want to say to people? Anything inspirational or motivating to sign off, Martina?
Absolutely. Stay happy and keep shooting because that's the most important thing. Just keep going.
Yes, agreed. One quick thing. Okay, cool. We are good. Martina, have a
Okay.
wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you at
Yes,
the
you
end of the
too.
week.
Okay, sounds good. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. We will see you in the next one. Have a good one.